Genshin's subregions, such as Dragonspine, Onkanomiya, and the Chasm, were always a hit with players of the game. It seemed like almost everybody liked these subsections of the main region of Teyvat, and I'm sure that we all have fond memories of playing these regions ourselves. However, every time I remember about these regions, I get a bit disappointed. And the reason why is because these regions have largely been forgotten by everybody, and for a good reason too. Allow me to explain. Of course, the main reason as to why these subregions are almost never visited by players is because there is simply no reason to visit these subregions, especially after you've completed everything inside of them. The reason why this bothers me is because it's not the player's fault, it's clearly Hoyoverse's fault. You see, these regions upset me because it's clear that just like every other main region in the game, these subregions have also had great amounts of work put into them. But what separates the main regions from the subregions is that the main regions will always be focused on regardless, or make the player return to them in one way or another. Whether that be from an event, character story quest, commission, you get the point. You can't set commissions in Onkanomiya, you don't get any new events in Onkanomiya, you don't get any quests sent in Onkanomiya after you've already explored Onkanomiya. And it's extremely disappointing. I could say the same thing for the Chasm. There's only one commission that actually activates in the Chasm, but it's above the actual Chasm. It's not below where you have to go down there anymore. So the entire underground portion of the Chasm is basically just not like existent. Like, you don't have to explore it anymore after you've already explored it. Okay? Subregions just don't have that privilege of being able to have commissions set into them, quests set into them, as to where players will feel the need to return to them after they've already explored them. There is currently no quest or event in the game that makes you need to visit these subregions to remind the player just how good they were, and that's the problem. Now, I wasn't playing in the Dragonspine era, I started in 2.0, so I can't comment too much about Dragonspine, but it seems that Dragonspine is still focused on and enjoyed by many players every now and then. Probably because it's a big ass fucking mountain that you couldn't miss even if you're blind. But remember when Onkanomiya first released? Everybody was hyped, and rightfully so, because Onkanomiya is amazing and has some of the most beautiful imagery captured in the game for any region, and music alike. But for most players like myself, there is no reason to return to it, unless you need the needed boss drops for Yaimiko or Shanha. Now all of a sudden, you have a region that had tons of effort poured into it, just sitting there collecting dust for most players. The exact same thing can be said for the Chasm, whereas it's even worse, because truth be told, not many players enjoy the Chasm. And even though I can clearly see why, because it is a pretty dark and moody place to be in, it especially hurts me the most because the Chasm is actually the best subregion out of them all. And you want to know why that is? Well, the obvious answer is because the Chasm was the first time we saw the Queen Yelan herself make her debut in Genshin Impact, and that is literally history inside of the game itself. The Chasm has the exact same problem as Onkanomiya, whereas once you finish farming Yelan's boss drops, you no longer have to visit it anymore. And yes, I know that other characters also use the Ruined Serpent's drops, but they don't matter as much as Yelan anyways, so why even farm from them? You literally cannot top her very first presence in any way, shape, or form, but I'll digress because if I continue on, this will become like a 4-hour video or something. Even for as disappointing as the Genshin subregions currently are, there is actually a very clear way to fix them or make players visit them every now and then, and it's something that was actually already implemented into the game. In version 2.5, there was an event called the Three Realms Gateway Offering, and I distinctly remember this event because I had an absolute blast with it. The event basically has Ankanomiya clouded with like a big purple fart cloud or something, and you essentially have to re-explore the entire region all over again. Besides Wind Trace, this event may actually be my second favorite event in the entire game, because as a person who loves exploration, this event really made me have fun with Ankanomiya for a second time, and reminded me how good the region actually was. In fact, this is all Hoyoverse has to do for other subregions like Dragonspine at the Chasm to make them more visited by players and to spark interest back into them, despite them being pretty old and forgotten already. If the Genshin team just made more events that circled around the already explored subregions, people would start having more fun in them again and would actually have a reason to go back to them every now and then, even if they were not having fun. This is my personal opinion on how to get visitation back to these regions that clearly have had a lot of effort put into them. But if you have a different opinion, I'd love to hear about it. Also, please stop watching me, I beg of you.